Hello and welcome to a Firstpost POV. It's shaping up to be a very important time in Bangladesh. Exiled Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is giving interview after interview from India. She has taken some amount of responsibility for what happened in 2024, but she's also launched scathing attacks on the interim ruler Muhammad Yunus. Meanwhile, in Bangladesh, the tribunal has said that the judgment for Sheikh Hasina will come out on November 17th, and her party, the Awami League, has called for a lockdown today, with many people expecting some sort of a face-off between the Awami supporters and those of the other parties like the BNP and the Jamaat. The question is, what does the immediate future look like for Bangladesh? And when the judgment comes out, what will it mean for the political future of Sheikh Hasina? Let me put some of these questions to my guest, Mr. Mohibul Hassan Chowdhoury, who's a former education minister of Sheikh Hasina. He's also been a close supporter of the former Prime Minister. Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan Chowdhoury, for speaking to us on Firstpost. Now,
thank you for connecting me today.
Now, let's talk about the status of the lockdown first. People are saying your party, the Awami League, called for a lockdown in parts of Dhaka in anticipation of the fact that the tribunal would declare a date for delivering its verdict on Sheikh Hasina. What are you hearing from Dhaka about the status of this lockdown? Are people coming out on the streets to protest what the interim government and the tribunal is doing? Is the response a bit lukewarm? What are you hearing from Dhaka?
So the objective of the lockdown was not to cause disruption in public life. What we wanted to do, our objective was to send a message to the interim regime that people are no longer in support of them. People were not in support of them, and people are not in support of them. Our request, our plea to the people was that they are going to, they should boycott the government and they should refrain from taking part in public life. So it is another version of what you'd call a general strike. So we have declared this as a lockdown, keeping in mind that people are more used to with these terms following COVID and other recent hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yes, so we have chosen this particular phrase for people to understand what our objective is, and they have taken part. They have voluntarily taken part. We haven't asked for anyone to cause any damage to public property or disrupt people's daily life. But because people have boycotted, obviously there is a vacuum of activity. There's no activity going on in the capital city or surrounding cities. So instead of the Dhaka city being locked down, people's participation has turned it into a countrywide protest movement where they have not taken part in any daily social activities and sent a message that we are boycotting this government.
Right. Now, there have been a lot of violent incidents in the lead up to this judgment that we saw today. There were blasts, there were arson incidents in different parts of Bangladesh, and online and even among some sections of the interim government, there is a belief that this is being organized by your party members or disgruntled former supporters of Sheikh Hasina. Who do you think is actually behind this streak of violence that we are seeing in Bangladesh?
If we look at the protest which was held in 2024, last year, the people who were doing most of the damages to the public good, targeting common citizens who were protesting, were these people. They have admitted that they were involved in target shootings. They have admitted that they were targeting police stations across the country. They have said, and basically they have made a confession that if they didn't do that, they couldn't have achieved the ouster of government, which was their objective at the time. So these people are well versed in causing chaos. In some parts, we have a confirmed report that they themselves had taken part in criminal activities, for example, burning of buses and so on and so forth. We were protesting across the country peacefully. Yes, some of our activists had to respond to their brutality, to police brutality during these 2 days. Whatever we have done, we did it in self-defense. But we did not take part in any kind of violent activism during this program. And we would like to send a message to the people of Bangladesh that these are the violent people, and we must all unite to resist them.
Right. Now, this week, if you look at the headlines, especially here in India, it's all about Sheikh Hasina because she's been on an interview spree, like I mentioned. She's spoken to multiple Indian outlets, and that's not gone down well in Bangladesh. I believe the foreign minister of Bangladesh, the interim foreign minister, has also summoned the Indian envoy. My question is different. Sheikh Hasina came to India in August 2024. 15 months later, why has she chosen to give so many interviews right now? What changed between then and now that the former Prime Minister is speaking out so vehemently right now?
She is merely reflecting what the public opinion in Bangladesh is. People are fed up of this government. They're turning the country into a terror heaven. They've unleashed all the convicted terrorist militants from our prisons. They are bringing in Pakistani military generals into the country. They have allowed Pakistan to reopen ISI's desks in their High Commission. And people aren't happy that Bangladesh is turning into another transit point of terrorism. For 15 years, we managed, regulated, monitored terror activities across the country, militants who were previously state-sponsored. And these people were exporting, I should say this word, they were exporting terrorism into India and across the world. So we had crushed them, we had dismantled their network, and we forbade Pakistan's intelligence service to operate within Bangladesh. For many years, they were operating. If you look at the number of medical students in Bangladeshi private medical colleges, you'd find many Kashmiri students who go there and study for their medical degrees. And we had confirmed report that in the 80s and 90s, before we took charge in 2009, ISI operatives were recruiting these students and brainwashing them into being militants. And we had to do something about it. So we had forbidden them from operating into Bangladesh, and each and every Pakistani High Commission of officials had to be verified, security cleared, etc. Right. So they were no longer able to train militants within Bangladesh. But right now, we've seen that the interim regime, which of course the interim regime doesn't have the mandate or any legal authority to do any kind of new trade deal or restructuring of our security arrangement, because they're an interim entity. But as soon as they have taken power, they have brought in Pakistani generals, Pakistan military officials, intelligence officials, in the name of reestablishing ties with Pakistan. I mean, if they were really keen on human rights and democracy and political collaboration with Pakistanis, they should have brought in human rights activists. I mean, they should have brought in political dissidents who were unlawfully imprisoned in Pakistan by the military intelligence establishment. Instead, they have chosen to bring into Bangladesh people who were known across the world to have who are known to be terror-producing organizations. ISI, for example. Right. People of Bangladesh do not want ISI to operate within the country. So therefore, we have to send them a message. Our Honorable Prime Minister, our leader, Sheikh Hasina, through her interviews, have sent a clear message to the world that Bangladeshis do not want Bangladesh to be turned into a terror transit point. And this is what these Yunus cronies are doing. So we are sending a message to the world that, especially to those who are backing this interim regime in the name of reform, in the name of restructuring the state, that these people are not doing any kind of constitutional reform, as they do not have any mandate. They are simply, what they have themselves said, resetting Bangladesh into how it used to be, which was part of Pakistan.
Right.
We had fought to come out of Pakistan, and we do not want to become another one.
Right. Now, in those interviews, Ms. Hasina did briefly dwell on what happened in 2024. And she said that there was possibly foreign mercenaries in the mix during those protests, and that's what made the matters worse. But in another interview, she also said that she does not believe that the United States or a foreign power was actively involved in fomenting trouble in Bangladesh. So do you think these are non-state foreign actors who were involved? Who exactly was she referring to when she said some foreign mercenaries were part of what happened in July 2024?
We have seen, when we were investigating in the initial phase, when we were still there in government, we had found out that trained individuals were deployed by some of the elements within the protesting the organizations to shoot at protesters. And these are not police personnel or security forces personnel trying to manage a riot. Thereafter, after our ouster, we have heard from the head of Lashkar-e-Taiba in Pakistan and Jaish-e-Mohammed, the militant organization in Pakistan. They have claimed that they have sent their activists, their militants, into Bangladesh to assist the protest movement. And this is the time for the interim government. Now they're paying back to these militant groups by allowing them to operate within Bangladesh. And it's not, she's expressing her suspicion. But on the other hand, the leaders of Lashkar-e-Taiba and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, they are claiming, confessing to the Pakistani audience that they took part in the upheaval in Bangladesh. So these are the foreign mercenaries we are talking about. And if we're looking into the other international players, I have said this in another interview. There is a nexus between the Clinton family and Mr. Yunus, and Mrs. Clinton being a very influential U.S. politician within the State Department, she had played her role to pull all the strings that she could. The former envoy into Bangladesh, Mr. Peter Haas, he had repeatedly been violating his diplomatic mandate, and certain elements within the U.S. The Clinton family and Yunus nexus. For example, several international NGOs were deployed to agitate the masses to invest in those who are able to create a riot-like situation. They've been doing it for a while. So these are the mercenaries that we're talking about. Of course, the state of United States or European Union, none of the state actors were involved. We're not accusing them of regime change operation. What we are saying is that different actors abroad were invested by Mr. Yunus through money, through his influence or whatnot. They did take part in agitating and creating a chaotic situation, a riot-like situation, and the riot went out of control. So these are the foreign actors that we're talking. We're not saying that a government had taken part in this violent protest.
Right. Now, when you mentioned those LET and Jaish terrorists, we have heard some of their leaders in Pakistan claim they have some sort of presence in Bangladesh, and you're saying some of their trained mercenaries, fighters and terrorists were probably in Bangladesh during 2024, making matters worse. Do you think that presence is still existing? Do you think the likes of the LET and the Jaish-e-Mohammed have perhaps camps or hidden cells in Bangladesh and they could activate them?
Oh, not just hidden cells. They're out there. We had arrested some of them and put them in jail. They were serving their time in the prison system of Bangladesh, but they've been all bailed out of the prison. So it's not a suspicion anymore. It's an admission by the state actors within Bangladesh. If you look at the people who are coming from Pakistan and meeting our officials, most of them have close ties with militant groups in Pakistan. Maulana Fazlur Rahman to lots of leaders from Jaish-e-Mohammed are traveling into Bangladesh. Bangladesh has recently, this interim government has allowed visa-free entrance of Pakistani officials. And in the name of official visits, these militant elements are coming over there uh, and and reestablishing what they had lost for 15 years. So it's not just a suspicion anymore. It is publicly expressed. It's all over in the media, and they're proud of this reestablishment of militant cells within the country. If you look at the police commissioner of Dhaka, the Dhaka Metropolitan Police Commissioner, he had openly declared that he's ready to fight a war with India. If you look at the statement made by the second head of Jamaat Islami in Bangladesh, Dr. Taher, he had said that they're preparing a militia force to fight India. I mean, he had in fact said this in public in the US an expatriate Bangladeshi gathering. So it's not a suspicion anymore. They were there, they were contained, crushed, dismantled, and they're reestablishing now. And they're saying that they're doing it proudly. And that is their state crafting. That is how they want to run the state, turning it into another Pakistan.
Right. Now, let's talk about the legal battle now. I don't think anybody is under the impression that this is remotely close to a fair trial. Clearly, there is a political angle here in trying to shut Ms. Hasina away. But there is also a real possibility that the worst punishment for the charges that she faces, which is the death penalty, could be what's awarded to her on November 17th. If that is the case, what is the Awami League's next course of action? Where do you go? Do you appeal? Do you go to international forums? What's the strategy? You hit the streets? What's the strategy when the judgment comes out on November 17th?
We refuse the jurisdiction of this court. This court itself is an illegal court. So whatever they say, we are not taking this into cognizance. We are going to protest on the street. We will do what we have to do to force this government to scrap this tribunal and this government to step down and hand the power over to a new caretaker government. That is our focus. Whatever this kangaroo court is doing is not of our concern. They have established this court through a temporary ordinance in their cabinet. I mean, this interim government doesn't have any right to pass any law. The parliament is not sitting, and they're passing laws left, right, and center as if they're elected representatives in their cabinet. So the ordinance through which this tribunal was restructured is illegal. It is unconstitutional. The process through which this trial is happening, they have appointed a state-appointed attorney to defend our leader, who himself in open court, whilst the proceeding was not going on, was discussing with the judge that he knows that the maximum penalty will be given, but yet he has to, in order to show to the world that there is some fairness in the proceeding, he has to say what he has to say to defend our leader. So it's all a staged drama. We are not paying attention to this drama and this theater. So our objective is an ouster of this illegal government, and when they go, everything that they're doing will collapse like a house of cards.
That brings me to my next question. February is when the elections are slated to happen, and that's when Mr. Yunus will be out of power, and we'll have an elected government finally in place in Bangladesh. There are two main powers in the fray there, the BNP and the Jamaat, who are vying to form the next government, the next elected government in Dhaka. Do you think things could improve under either of them because they are elected into the place instead of just installed like Mr. Yunus? Or do you see them continuing the same policies of persecution against the Awami League and Sheikh Hasina?
I mean, first of all, there is no certainty on the election. They themselves are not in agreement. The Yunus party, the NCP party, which he had failed to establish, despite a lot of funding and a lot of governmental support, the NCP, the Jamaat, and the BNP, they are not in agreement over how to hold the election, whether to hold a referendum on their proposed constitutional amendments or to hold the parliamentary elections. They themselves have not agreed yet. And they are trying to disenfranchise more than 50% of the electorates. I mean, the Awami League, Workers' Party, Communist Party, Socialist Party, and Jatiyo Party, which had ruled Bangladesh for 9 years, are effectively barred from taking part in the election. So it's not an inclusive election. So whoever, even if they succeed in holding an election of a sort, they're not going to be a sustainable government. If you disenfranchise more than 50% of the people, and if there is an election and a government is formed, it won't have the mandate or the support of the people. How long will they keep themselves in power through misuse of the armed forces? Right now, they're in power only through the military's might and police support. I mean, after the election, the military will have no role, and the police will have to act according to their operational laws, and this government will not be able to sustain their grip on power anymore. People are already angry, they're upset, they want an inclusive election, they want to express themselves in full, and they're all demanding inclusive election. There's no reason why they cannot hold an inclusive election. And we are appealing to the international community, especially the UN, where UN is planning to partly finance this election, and we are requesting them that a one-sided election violates the UN's own charter and mandate, and we are going to protest what they're planning to hold, what their one-sided election. So we are not going to, of course, give them an easy ride. Let's put it that way.
Right. Finally, just a hypothetical question. It may sound a bit far-fetched, but I'll ask anyway. The Awami League and Sheikh Hasina have expressed hope that one day they can return to Bangladesh, contest in free and fair elections, and get to power once again. If that were to happen, maybe years down the line, what would you do with the members of this interim regime, including Mr. Yunus? Would you prosecute them, hold them responsible for what's been done? Would you try them, or would you hold such sham trials that we're seeing in Dhaka? If the Awami League were to return to power, what would you do with the powers in Dhaka right now?
Awami League have not resorted to unfair, one-sided trials ever. Even the trial of the killers of our father of the nation, when he was assassinated along with his whole family, we subjected them to regular criminal courts and regular criminal procedure. Of course, we can't say that all of them have done what many are claiming. If there is any allegation, we will subject them to regular court process. We do not believe in persecution. We will, of course, prosecute if there is an allegation. So we don't believe in revenge politics. Awami League has never done that. Every time Awami League came to power, they came through an election, never through riot or any kind of upheaval or ouster of an elected government. It was always through election, and we'll do what we have to do to sustain in government. Our objective is sustainable development of the people. Our objective is to keep the law and order situation under control. So we are not going to go for any revenge politics. So we've never done that in the past. We'll not do them in the future either. However, we will make sure that those who are responsible for the deeds that we have seen previous to 5th of August and after, they are subjected to the full force of law.
Right. Well, I think November 17th is the big day to watch out for. Your party has called for a lockdown in Dhaka. I'm sure closer to the date of the verdict, we will see more political action, perhaps more protests. And we hope that things remain peaceful, that there's actually a fair trial and not the sort of political sham trial we have seen so far. Thank you so much, Mr. Mohibul Hassan Chowdhoury, for speaking to us on First Post.
Thank you. Thank you.
Want the facts?
The latest developments?
News that gets straight to the point.
Well, we've got all three just for you. This is First Post Live, a brand new show, your window into what really matters.
Don't miss it.